Definitely looking forward to it.
Here we go. Here we go. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome, welcome, welcome to this edition of On the Other Side Leadership After Transition. Today, I got to tell you, I've been hounding this man for years. I mean, it seems like it's been years. It's only been like a year and a half, but we've had a couple conversations, a lot of text messages back and forth. Really, really awesome experience right now for me. I've watched him since early last year, 2017, February-ish, and all of the stuff that he's been able to bring on to LinkedIn and just the information that he's provided, the value in itself. And we're, just so you know, we were transitioning at the same time, and I'm thinking to myself, damn, this guy is eons ahead of me. Anyhow, I have the extreme opportunity, right? It's an amazing opportunity to have Justin on the show today. So I want to do that, introduce Justin Pearson. So, Mr. Justin Pearson, welcome to On the Other Side. How you doing?
Hey, what's up, buddy? Hey, everyone. How you doing? Hey, super excited to be on the show. Such a pleasure. I know, we've had to work out the kinks over the last several months to be able to get on the show. I'm just, greatly appreciated to you, to your family for being able to take the time so we can just talk about transition, answer questions if they come up from the audience. So super excited, Jeff. I appreciate that, buddy.
Awesome, man. Awesome. So it's important I wanted to lay the basis of the conversation of how I found you. And it just on LinkedIn, I'm out there plugging away, trying to get this transition started for me. And I just see this guy that keeps coming up, Justin Pearson. Justin, talking about your current or your future transition. You're getting ready to transition at the time, and but you're providing information. You're not just saying, I'm looking for a job, I'm looking for a job, I'm transitioning, I'm looking for a job. It was just awesome, and it was just constant. And I was like, man, he's doing it right. And then next thing I know, I look, followed by there's like 25,000 a network that's just growing enormous over a very short period of time. And I'm like, this guy's got it. So I jumped on, and I've been on for the ride ever since, because just the amount of greatness that you've achieved in a very short time, and I think it's awesome. So, well, let's jump into that real quick before we ask any questions and actually get any information about you. Where are you coming live to us from today?
Hey, so I'm live right here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, right? Home of the Steelers and the Penguins and the Pirates, baby. I don't know about them Yankees, but I'm up here in Pittsburgh, so it's a little chilly, and we get some snow. But other than that,
just a little bit.
Great. The culture's amazing, and the people are phenomenal.
It's awesome. So my wife is a huge Steelers fan. I don't know if you can see over here to my right as I'm a Bills fan, but we kind of made a deal. The younger kids would be fans of whoever had the better record for that year. And just so you know, all my kids are Steelers fans based on the fact that Buffalo sucks. I took my wife.
It is not your fault.
It's not. I mean, what do you do? I'm from there. So I took my wife up to Buffalo to watch a Steelers-Bills game. Great time. It was freezing. Le'Veon Bell had run for like 200-something yards. But anyway, she never felt cold like that before. But so now I want to kind of just start with who you are. Who is Justin Pearson? Kind of give me a little bit of an idea of where you kind of came up from into the military, and kind of just give me a little bit of a story of you, what you did in the Army.
Man, that's awesome. I appreciate you asking me that. I look back I think back, and I grew up in Montana, like out on a ranch in the middle of nowhere. We were like, I think it was about 90 some miles from town, and we were living with my mom's family, and she had 7 brothers and 6 sisters, like 25 horses and several hundred head of cattle, and it was farmers country. And I, growing up, it was tough. It was a lot of hard labor, and being in Montana really kind of grounded me with values and with principles, and just working hard. I mean, you think back, that was quite a while ago. I don't want to go into how old we are. Happy belated birthday, by the way, too.
Thank you.
And so I grew up out on the ranch, and I just wanted to do something with my life, and I wanted to make a difference. And my father and my father's father were in the Army, and I just said, let me go down to the Air Force and to the Marine Corps office and see see what I can get myself into. And lo and behold, like, the Army recruiter stopped me on the way, and he was like, Justin, hey, let's jump over to the 4 Bs, back in the day, it's like a Denny's, but the 4 Bs, I'm going to take you in my cool, old school CJ Jeep, with the top off and the music blasting. And, I was like, okay, so lo and behold, several months after that initial discovery discussion with him, I joined the Army, said, I want to go jump out of planes and, just be crazy. And I'll share a story later, with you about a time during that training. But, from there, I grew up, jumping out of planes, and then I became a recruiter. After recruiting duty, they said, hey, go to Hawaii, and lead a platoon, lead a squad, all that type of stuff there. I deployed, went to Afghanistan in 2004, 2005, came back, went down to Georgia, built marksmanship programs for the Army, which was just an amazing opportunity to, travel around the world and show soldiers the fundamentals and advanced techniques of rifle marksmanship. And from there, at that point in time, they said, hey, you're coming back to recruiting. And I was like, oh, no, I'm not going back to recruiting, bro. And, lo and behold, at that time I worked for a 3-star, part of the Advanced Infantry Marksmanship Strategies and Standards Committee. And it was a 3-star. And he said, oh, I'll make the call to the 2-star general. We'll get you out of it. Lo and behold, he didn't get me out of it. And, he said, in 3 weeks, you're going to be a recruiter. And lo and behold, they said, where do you want to go? Florida, let's jump over to Tampa and Clearwater and start that recruiting mission. And that was in like the 2007 era. So from 97 to 2007, I was, infantry combat arms dude. And then 2007 present, I was in the recruiting command, and I spent time in Florida, Virginia, northern DC, and ended there in Texas. I was selected for sergeant major. You were a sergeant major, so congratulations to yourself, selected. At that point in time, I was just kind of playing with the idea of should I get out? And I had a great conversation with my cousin, and he said, man, Justin, you can make so much more money outside of the military. And then when you couple, the money that you'll make outside of the military with your retirement and with any type of VA disability, this is a no-brainer, and at that point in time, I just said, okay, I'm getting out. I'm going to go, I'm going all in to figure out, how to really market myself to civilians, to the outside world, to corporate America. And, it was crazy challenging. I did have experience in the social media aspect and email campaigns within Recruiting Command, but now you're talking to a totally different audience. And, I started about 8 months out before I actually retired. So I did have 8 months of runway. And I remember when I had started, my wife, Kara, God bless her soul, love her to death. She was like, hey, you need to pick it up. You need to get after it. Here's a book. And, that book that she gave me was the 10X Rule by Grant Cardone. Okay. And reading that book really ignited me and charged me inside to reevaluate all my time within the day, where I was placing my time and how I was going, how much time was needed to make a successful transition. Yeah. And just making that plan. And I mean, we can talk more about that. I don't want to just keep rambling, but it was like, a shit ton of effort constantly up, 2-3 hours early, staying up 2-3 hours late, planning, preparing, building a strategy and building an action plan, to be able to achieve success, for the success that I wanted, my goal. Right. And I look back into the military, and I mean, some of us that are watching this right now, we were in the military. And we had ruck marches, 12 miles, 20 miles, 50-mile ruck marches, go on this combat mission, do this cordon search or this raid or this attack and blow shit up. Mm-hmm. And I really kind of took that same mentality when I was, transitioning, and I said, okay, if I if I have to march 50 miles and there's a checkpoint, I need to make checkpoints all the way through. Just like we would have kept our head down and marched forward if we were going to, march from Fort Drum, New York down to Fort Irwin, California. If they said, hey, do it, you had said, Roger that, we're going to do it. And, that's exactly what I did. I had laid out that plan and had basically said, I need to, do my best to get to 20,000 connections on LinkedIn. How are you going to do that? You got to send out thousands of personalized messages. You got to broadcast your voice. And I mean, we can talk about marketing and branding yourself and networking, but that may not be the conversation for this. But it was, bottom line, it was a ton of effort. And, all along the way, it was, how can I have conversations just like this so I can learn, right? And I can grab that mentorship from individuals such as yourself and other influencers in this space to learn a totally new skill. So
I guess what I would ask is, prior to your transition, how far out were you when you decided, okay, I'm gonna be done? How long did you have? A year? I mean, did you about 18 months? What was your timeline?
No, man, I had 42. I have 42 days, so it was crazy. It was literally, I was supposed to go to the Sergeant Major's Academy and report on like August 1st, right? That was like the report date. And, I was supposed to go on transition leave on like, I want to say it was like June 12th, right? And on May 1st, I had said, hey, I'm done. And then I went through that rigmarole at that point in time to let the chain of command know, to let leadership know. And at that point in time, it was tough. I was leading an amazing team, individuals such as Michael Gimbel, who's now a first sergeant, in recruiting command. And it was weird because you're feeling like, man, I'm letting my whole team down, 50 some NCOs that, they're sweating, blood, sweat, and tears are busting their ass, making a mission for you. And then all of a sudden their damn first sergeant says, hey, he's gone. Right. So it was crazy. It was there was a lot of depression and a lot of questioning and a lot of just roller coaster rides. I mean, we were like, man, what is going on? And then to wrap your head around your team, like wondering what's going on, you wondering if you made the right decision or what decision am I making, for Christ's sakes, and then the higher command, like, what are you doing? You're not going to be a sergeant major. What's going on in your life? It's crazy because at that point in time, I remember something freaking insane, man. And this lit me up, bro. We were at a big conference and one of the sergeant majors said to me, I know why you're not going. I know why you're not going to the damn Sergeant Major's Academy, because you got a new wife that's hot to trot, and she's influencing you. And I said, whoa, man, are you freaking crazy? I made this decision because I want to put money in the bank, bro. I want to go on vacations and I want to provide to my family, and I'm taking this risk. I don't want to just say, you know what, I'm fine with settling. I'm fine with just being a soldier, which, don't get me wrong, I love being a soldier. Right. I love to be able to build that team. But at some point in time, you're going to wake up and you're going to say, it's time for me to hang it up. It's time for me to start another adventure. It's time to me to figure out, the next ride. So hopefully I was able to put a little clarity behind that. So
hey, look, you're better than me, man, because that's kind of bold, right? I mean, at the end of the day, for me, I look at things, and when I was in the uniform and I'd have soldiers, I was a career counselor as well, so I would sit there and have the conversation with folks as they were leaving, and it was really difficult early because I would always lean them towards staying in the Army, right? It was always, hey,
Yep.
This is the options. These are the things. These are the things that are great. You never know what's going to happen over there. But I'm speaking from a perspective that I have no idea about. I'm telling people about staying in the Army because that's what I'm supposed to do as the career counselor. But I have no idea what's going on out there to give them advice. So after a while, and I actually had a conversation with a young staff sergeant who kind of opened my eyes, and he didn't tell me I was a moron or anything, but he talked about all this stuff, and he had planned. I mean, this guy, meticulous planning. I'm talking, he was planning from 18 months out. He had everything lined up. And I was like, I had nothing to say to him. I had nothing to sell him and nothing to try to keep him in. But I said, I'm going to have to look at what you're talking about, because if I'm going to help people, because the idea is you help them in the uniform and you help them leave the uniform. That's what you're supposed to do, no matter what you want to do, right? It's what you're supposed to do. So I started learning more about the opportunities that existed outside of the military. And man, I tell you, it opened my eyes greatly. More importantly, to what you just said, for anybody to tell you what you are or what you're not or why you're doing something is ridiculous. I mean, we all have a definition of what success looks like. We all think differently than other folks, and it's nice that you made a choice. And yeah, it's probably not the most popular one. I mean, you're a shoo-in. You're going. You already got selected. People are looking at you crazy, and it sucks because that puts a lot of pressure on you as an individual, right? Because I get the obligation feeling. I'm obligated to these folks, but in that moment when you make that choice, you kind of got to be selfish. You know what I mean? And it's what goes from selfless.
And you feel that. Yeah. You know, you feel that. Am I being selfish? Am I not continuing to serve my country? You know, when we would give out awards and do recognitions, and inside in your heart, you know, I was freaking so passionate and pumped up, you know, and just loved it. And then all of a sudden you come to these crossroads where you're like, I'm done. Or there's something more for me out there. And I mean, we're good with, you know, raising our hand, Roger that, I'll move from point A to point B in 2 or 3 years. Or, okay, you want me to drive from Waco to Dallas like every other day? You know, at some point in time, you get you get sick of the bullshit. Yeah. And when you couple that, and you'll see, you know, when people get out of the military and they get part of their retirement, again, they get their VA disability, and then you get a civilian paycheck, and now you're making double what you did in the military. I mean, you can take that, because I mean, let's just be honest. In the military, you really don't make a whole lot of money. Right. You know, so, I mean, don't get me wrong. What I learned in recruiting, specifically over the last like 6 years of my career, helped, you know, catapult me into an amazing job where I can literally affect millions of veterans. I've probably had a good 2,600 phone calls with veterans, changing their lives, crying individuals, you know, that are just so thankful that someone took the time, you know, to listen to them, to try to understand what they were going through, and then give them that guidance to be able to put an action plan in place.
No doubt. So you go through your transition, 42 days. It's crammed together, but you're busting your hump to get it done. You're not just standing back. You're taking that same approach that got you to be as successful as you were within the military. You put that into your transition, which, you know, a month and a half isn't long. We know that. That's hey, for you out there, don't do it in 42 days.
It was 42 days, and then once I got through that period and they said retirement's approved, then I had roughly eight months to focus and lay out that plan. Good. Just to be clear for everyone.
Okay, good. So and that's good. So you got to lay that plan out and then accomplish it, right? So I would like to ask you, because what I hear an awful lot is as you're talking about that plan and that next job or whatever job you're going to get into, when did you truly start looking for employment? I mean, was that an initial thing, or were you really concerned about where am I going to live? How much money should I be making? What is the job that I really want? Kind of go through that for me, if you would.
Yeah. You know, I'll go back and let's look at, you know, we think back to what was LinkedIn for veterans two and a half years ago. It is night and day. Yeah. There was no in-learning, right? There was, at that point in time, the the publishing your leader thought via articles was just coming out.
Right.
There really wasn't any veterans that were leveraging that platform at that point in time. None.
Right.
And I decided, hey, I'm gonna step forward, and I'm just going to become omnipresent on this particular platform. And that took a lot of time and effort. And I thought, coming out of the military, I mean, we can always think in our mind in our current role, oh, I'm the subject matter expert, I know what the hell I'm doing, right? But as soon as you jump into that transition space, even though you still think you don't, you still think you know what you're doing, you really, really don't. So, I mean, literally, Jeff, it was a whirlwind, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking, emotional roller coaster rides, just really, really tough situations to deal with, because at that point in time, there wasn't like bona fide leaders out there, mentors out there in this space. There's a couple here and there, and they did finally grab a hold of me and, help guide me. They didn't give me the answers by any means.
Right.
But they gave me, they helped, guide me and helped me see the bigger picture. But it took a long damn time, man. Because initially I was like 9 months out or 8 months out. I'm going to start submitting resumes now. And that was my first focus, get my resume straight, and find the exact place where I want to go. And I only want to go to this place. And just through those months, I was like, okay, I'm not going to be able to go to this place. So, maybe I should find 3 to 5 different geographical locations throughout the United States that I want to focus on. And then, I was making my resume based on my military experience, and I still had not found who I was yet, what I wanted to do, how much money I thought I deserved, what type of position I wanted, and in what type of company, and in what specific industry. That took a long time. That took a long time for me to figure out. It wasn't something that just automatically clicked. I mean, I would say that probably in itself took, probably, 2 to 2.5, 3 months of really digging deep and trying to learn about Justin instead of First Sergeant Pearson.
Right.
And one thing that really helped me in that process was there's a book called What Color Is Your Parachute 2017.
Yep.
Right. And I'm sure there's an updated version of it now, but that what color is your parachute, man, that book actually got me aligned, and it really helped me dig down and understand. About halfway through the book, they have a flower diagram where, within this diagram, you basically sit down with a piece of paper, you sit down with, your family, and you map out what are the family goals. Where does the family want to go? Where what type of role do you want? Do you want to be in a role where you're actually traveling a lot? Because, I mean, a lot of roles, you will have to travel a lot.
Yeah.
And when I say role, I mean position.
Yeah.
And, I couldn't get it. It took a long time. And the only reason I got it is because I said, what? Every day I am going to take a half an hour at least to have a phone call with anyone that will talk to me. I mean, really, with anyone that at that point in time, if they have an important title, I'm talking to you, right? So I could easily say I probably had 1,500 discussions, and at one point in time it was I want to have at least 5 discussions a day. So I was scheduling discussions. I mean, I was talking to people on the West Coast, and it was midnight at my time, so it's 9 o'clock with them, and it was let me continuously lay this out, map out this plan. I mean, you think back to the 21 irrefutable laws of leadership, and one of those laws is the law of navigation, right? And charting the course. And I said, I just got, because I was derailed so many times. I mean, it was not easy. So if I'm going to be able to express anything, to our viewers that may be transitioning, it takes a lot of effort, a lot of time, a lot of emotion. It's nothing that is going to be like, yeah, my brother is going to hook me up and give me a job, or I know my cousin's friend is just going to hire me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you got to map out a plan. So
No doubt.
it just took a long time, and finally I got there. And when I got to the point of, I always say I was 90 days or less. That's when it started happening. People I was having, several phone calls a day. I was interviewing. And obviously once I started interviewing, I almost in my mind kind of treated it like, oh, a soldier of the month board or an NCO of the month board. And that shit doesn't work. I had to learn the different processes
Yeah.
to be able to put together, put together an answer that was properly, structured, like the STAR format: situation, task, action, review, or situation, task, action, and result. Right? To be able to frame those specific type of behavioral questions.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like I had to memorize it, because I'd never done anything like this. So I'd say, you know what, I'm going to memorize like 2 of each type of the 5 behavioral types of questions that they ask. And I had to frame specific scenarios that I went through in life to be able to properly translate my experience for that particular role.
Yeah.
And through that whole process, we're a jack of all trades, a master of none, right? And I couldn't get it through my thick skull of, hey, you got to fit all of your skills into one little niche box.
Yeah.
That is 1 to 2 tiny little skills focused in this particular role. They do not want to hear about the 10,000 other great things you bring, because then they're going to feel that, you're just going to get bored. You're probably going to leave in a couple months, So there was a lot of experimenting and testing that I had to go through to be able to get to where I am today.
But man, I love the experiment and the testing, because it really lays a foundation, not just for you, but for others to hear. So what I've thought to be really cool is, as I've had a lot of conversations with folks as they've transitioned, I really like the ones that are putting the best effort forward. Now, and I say that, like, when you look at, I don't care if you were a sergeant E5 or a colonel, it doesn't matter to me. Whatever time you spent in the military and you were competitive and you were trying, you could see that drive, the desire to be better. That's, to me, that's awesome, right? You get effort, you're giving effort. And when people give effort as they're making their transition, like you did, I mean, in that what you just spoke about for the last about 5 minutes, truly, I know was a long period of time. So you try to encapsulate it in 5 minutes, which I know you can't, but it's amazing because it's a lot of effort. There's a lot, I mean, just the phone calls, the conversations, trying to understand the differences between what you're doing out there than what you're doing in here, and understanding we can get by, right? And I think that's one thing that we kind of understand is, you as a first sergeant, when you're having a conversation with someone, you can get by with your institutional knowledge. When you're in the military, you can talk about anything, or it could be in any meeting, you could be in any format, and you could have a conversation because you're a first sergeant. It doesn't matter what MOS you're talking to, what group of people you're talking to, you can get by. When you leave that realm, and if you're not talking to a veteran, if you're not talking to someone who has a military mind, you can't get by. I mean, you can, but you have to do the work to understand the language. You have to do a little bit of industry research. You have to do so much more than just say, hey, I served. Thank you for giving me this opportunity because I'm entitled to it. And that doesn't work, and that's not real. And the closer we can come to, or the sooner we come to realize that we're not going to be given anything because we served, and we're not entitled. We still have to earn it. And we still have to go out there and do and put our best foot forward. It's going to be better. And you had made mention, and then we'll continue, but you had made mention of price point and certain things. And the one thing that I've seen, especially lately, that's probably happened for years and years and years, but there's some weird thing that exists that puts a dollar amount on your rank when you leave, or your position for when you leave. And I think it sets people up for some very, very bad times. I mean, you should be making 150 or 185, and then you get out and you see maybe a peer of yours that's making 150 or 185, and you're getting a job for 65. What's wrong with me? What am I doing wrong? It's one of those things that you question yourself. But in all actuality, there's a million variables that exist. It's just that there's such a I don't know, an emphasis put on dollar amount and what my job should be, but not enough into specifics. Like I had a conversation. I work with 4Block, so I speak. I'm an associate instructor. So we have the opportunity to talk to PwC, PricewaterhouseCoopers, and Amazon, and a bunch of different other organizations. It's really interesting when you talk to someone, you watch someone apply to be an operations manager, or when you ask them, what do you want to be? Well, I've been operations my whole career. I'd like to be an operations manager. But an operations manager does different things at every single place. The description, the duty description is completely different wherever you go. So it's understanding what you want to do, not so much what you want to be as far as a duty position. So where you say it took a little bit of time for you to know who you were, then to figure out where you wanted to be, it is time. It's a lot of exploration. You have to figure out who it is that you want, who you are, and who you want to be. And it's interesting that 8-month time period for you that you spoke about. It's good that you made that effort to do it. So good on you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And one of the the number one job that I hear, as veterans get out, I want to be a project manager. I just got my PMP. I want to be in operations. I have my Lean Six Sigma. Well, where? What? It's very, very deep. When you start looking and trying to find that specific type of role, and I say that because when you look across, you have to think about it from an industry aspect first, right? Do you want to be in the manufacturing industry? Do you want to be in the media and marketing industry? Do you want to be in the automotive industry, the finance industry, telecommunications, computers, security? I mean, there's so many, right? So within whatever industry that you choose, hopefully that's your career field. So you have some general, vague, knowledge of that particular industry. Then you jump down into the types of companies, because within that particular industry, there's going to be all kinds of different types of companies, right? Yeah. So taking the time to learn and understand the company, people just, show up and, they don't understand the company history. They don't understand the leadership structure within the company. They don't understand their values, their beliefs, and they don't understand the importance from inside the organization. Like as I'm sitting down and I'm interviewing an individual and they can't tell me anything about the organization or why they want to be part of our team, at that point in time, it's a red flag. You could be the most amazingly qualified individual for the job, don't want to hear it, right? I can understand, man, if you're prepared in those areas, you can have a good conversation. I would rather find someone that was a great cultural fit. They could hold an awesome conversation. Yeah, they may not meet every specific qualification based on the experience that I'm looking for, but you know what? A majority of that training is going to happen on the job anyways. Right. And how are you going to get there? You're going to get there by networking and getting individuals to actually vest in you, right? Walk down the hall and have a conversation with the hiring manager. Actually print off your resume and sit down and talk with them for 5 or 10 minutes versus sending an email or just sending them your LinkedIn URL. You got to have people that are willing to jump on a sword for you, in order to get these jobs today, especially the ones that, if you're thinking I'm shooting for a job that's, 75, 80, 100 plus, you got to do a lot of work and a lot of effort into branding yourself, into networking with the right people, into marketing yourself, right? So you are searchable on Google, because you could message me. And I remember the first time I think you did send me a message. And the first thing I did, I looked at your profile and I was like, let me check out this dude and see if I even want to have a conversation with him. Right. I don't know, man. Because you come across some jokers, they won't send you a personal message, a personal invite. They don't tell you why they want to connect. They just connect with you. or try to connect with you. So, I mean, I'll take the time. I'll look. I want to make sure, they look professional. They have a good flavor to them. I'm looking for interesting people that bring something to the table that are going to somehow intellectually stimulate me, right? Whether it's in a friendship way, where they're a cool dude or gal that loves hiking in the national parks, love photography, or someone that can teach me something, right? Or someone that has followed up. They did their research on me, and then they're like, "Hey, Justin, I saw your video doing this, and then I read your article here, and I thought that I wanted to provide a couple additional points." That's that stuff that you have to do in order to get back to getting that position that you want, getting that salary that you want, which then goes back to, and there's a lot of people out there that feel entitled. I mean, let's just be real. They feel freaking entitled, like we owe them something, or they owe me something. And you know what? I did too at times. Did I ever say that to people? No. But it's the truth. So how inside do you decrease that I'm entitled feeling? And the way that it's going to decrease is by you doing research, understanding yourself, correlating and translating your military experience, your intangible characteristics, right? Finding a PD that you're like, okay, I feel I am a total fit for this. Then at that point in time, then you go on to salary.com or indeed.com or glassdoor.com, and you start researching salaries based on positions, because a company is not going to pay you, Jeff, a certain amount of money just because you're Jeff. They have a specifically allocated budget that says for this particular position, we have available $35,000 to $50,000. So we want to find someone that fits inside that spectrum right there, right? We don't want to find someone that's worth $100,000 and hope that they do it. No, we don't want that. Why? Well, we don't want that because we know that that individual is overly experienced, will not be happy in that position from a positional aspect, furthermore, not be happy with the salary and pay. Therefore, that individual becomes a bad hire. 3 or 4 months later, they're gone. Now, let's just remember something. It took 2, 3, 4 months to find this person. So lo and behold, we just wasted 8 months of our time when we want to find someone that's going to at least be with our organization for a couple of years. So.
Right.
Okay, rant over. I'll get off the soapbox.
No, but it's a rant, but it's factual information. It's not what people look into. It's, to me, I think it's a great thing to bring up. And that's great. You had made mention way before about the 21 Irrefutable Laws by John Maxwell, and it's one of my favorite books. Actually, it's one of the things that keep us in line, right? With, and because it's all, it's irrefutable. I think it's on point by saying that. I think that what you're talking about specifically, and where we go out and we demand things, or we want things, we don't listen to things that you just said. Cultural fit. And I wanted to hit that on the head, right? Because we talk about, I am qualified. I've met every prerequisite that exists on the, and everything, I have everything. But what people fail to realize is that a cultural fit is not our opinion. It's theirs. It's the company's opinion. How do you fit within this company? And a lot of that is ascertained by the questions that are in the interview and how you react to them and how you respond. So, kind of understanding, doing your research on the company, really knowing what the company is, not making up, I don't want to say not making up those cookie cutter comments. What's that?
I said well before the interview too.
Oh, yeah. Well before, not the night before, because you'd come in and you look like it. You look like you came in unprepared. But just understand it, because it gives you a very easy transition into the conversation, right? When you know what you're talking about, just like any briefings you ever done or anywhere you've ever been, when you know what you're talking about, it's very simple to go in and talk. But when you don't know, you find you're put on an army board and you're sitting there wondering what's the next question. But just doing a lot of research, I think, is imperative. Knowing where you want to be is a big thing. You had made mention, and What Color Is My Parachute is a good book for any of you that want to look into it. That's a great book to help you find you. I mean, it's a lot of conversation, and I think that's what we lack a lot of, is the communication piece of that thing that we always talk about. I was a communicator in the military, and I think that some of the military folks are some of the, I don't want to say the worst ones, but they're not great communicators, talking about what I want, my family's wants, my friends wants, my whatever it is, whatever I'm looking for, but communicating that, right? So that's interesting. So now we've talked a lot, or you've talked a lot specifically about some great tips, and I'm not taking away. I think it's great. So I want you to tell me, because we haven't got to what do you do. I want you to tell me what you do right now. What are you currently doing? Well, not currently doing. You're sitting here talking to me, but what is your job, man?
Yeah, man. So, I run, well, my title, I'm the senior marketing operations manager for a military recruiting and marketing company, actually a military marketing company, right? And within that specific company, there's GI Jobs, Military Spouse Magazine, Military Friendly, and STEM jobs, right? And what we do is, we provide our military families with civilian opportunity, right? That's the end result for that military family. So what does that mean, right? That means that veterans are getting hired, right? They're getting career opportunities. They're getting educational opportunities so they can further advance their degrees and their certifications. They're getting opportunities to learn how to and start a business, own a franchise. So, when you think about that right there, that's insanely powerful, right? Because you're literally changing the lives of hundreds of thousands of individuals. And then, so within those specific brands, I run the marketing operations aspect of it. What that means is, you have hundreds of clients that want to advertise to veterans. So I'm the one behind the scenes managing a phenomenal team that, reaches out, gets the information and needs, creatives, imagery, etc., from our clients in order to be able to showcase their opportunities. These are companies that are spending operational dollars, right, to attract veterans and military spouses in a multitude of ways. So that's that piece. That's one of the areas. I also, provide the brand strategy and the development of our brand, so we have an authentic and authoritative brand in this space. The brand being who we are as a company, right? That's rooted back to 2001 and our three co-founders that are both Navy veterans that started our organization out of the basement of their place here in Pittsburgh, right? That includes, when you think about the brand, you think about the content that comes along with it. Content being all the articles, thousands of articles and resources. And those articles and resources are everything from entertainment, military jokes, military humor, that type of stuff, all the way down into like, hey, do I really need a cover letter? Or, how do I put together my LinkedIn profile? How do I write a resume? Right? So that's the content that's published from our websites and on our websites, right? Then you parlay into the email aspect of it, because we do email campaigns to be able to provide, these resources to our audience, based on all the clients and what they're actually looking for. So we provide them, through email. That's another aspect, and that's a very, very in-depth aspect. And then you have the social media aspect of, our brands, those 4 brands that I had talked about on, 5 or 6 different social media channels, trying to listen, trying to monitor, trying to interact, provide engagement. And we have a very lean team. A lean team being, it's small, and we do a lot of work, and we have to be very agile in our methodology of what we do throughout the day and how we go about exerting our effort to make sure that we're getting the best ROI possible for our audience, right? And when I say that, meaning that's the best product. That's something that is valuable, something that's meaningful, relatable, and something that is potentially going to move them from point A to point B, right? So, and then what else? Man, and then the web operations aspect. So from that, it's the websites, being able to make sure everything's up to date, everything, the UI, UX, the whole customer experience and audience experience on our website is a good feeling. That it wasn't it wasn't broken links and it wasn't horrible graphics. So when you take all that into consideration, it's a big job. It's a great role. So I'm happy to be doing that and being able to communicate with our team.
Well, I love it. I love it. And I'll tell you, just for anybody that's watching and it's going to watch, if you're not following Justin on LinkedIn, it's a huge, you need to. Bottom line, you need to. Why I say that is because the articles in which she posts, I see things off GI Jobs and Victory. I see things all the time from what he's posting, but they are probably some of the most informative articles that I've ever read. I mean, and I'm not just saying that because he's here. Truly, a lot of articles give you some of the what's and the whys and the who's, but they don't give you the hows. And how, because the how costs money, right? That's what people want to get you to buy is the how. But every time I've watched or read an article or a video that Justin's done, it gives you the how. And there's no question. And to me, that is value that you're getting for free. You just click on it, and then it truly will tell you how to do whatever it is that specific topic.
A through Z, 1 through 10.
Yeah, that's it. It's simple, and I love it. I mean, truly, and I'm very appreciative. That's why I tell you, I'm not just saying it because he's here. Go take a look at it. Anyhow, hey, so I wanted to ask you something I forgot. I kind of breezed over it, and I wanted to ask you some advice. I wanted to get you a piece of advice from you from a transitioning service member. Just one piece that if someone's getting ready to get out, what is one of those things that you would say is probably up in the top tier of things that they have to do as they're getting ready to transition?
That's a deep question right there, buddy.
It is. We could talk about an hour on it, huh?
Yeah. I wouldn't put like the framework of only one thing. I really think it revolves around three things. Okay. That's going to get you to where you're trying to get to. That comes down to branding yourself, then networking, right? And then being able to market yourself. So what do I mean by that? Because I remember at one point in time, I was like, branding, what is he talking about? It's like your digital image. You think about, I mean, today's day and age, it's all, Google search and trying to find out who you are from a digital perspective before they even interact with you. I mean, 20 some years ago, when I had my first job, I remember, I don't even think I filled out the application. There wasn't even an interview. They just literally said, okay, you start in a half an hour, and I was working at Wendy's, for Christ's sakes. But it would come back to really building your brand and showcasing the best side of you possible. And I always, go back to saying, you got to look like $1 million. You got to put yourself in the spotlight and make yourself shine. And for most military members, service members, and veterans and military spouses, that all was a mouthful, but they don't like doing that. I mean, they don't want to make themselves shine. They're just like, it is what it is. I am who I am. So you got to pause, take a step back, and really kind of assess, what does the individual who should be hiring you or would want to hire you, what are they looking for? What type of individual are they looking for? For the most part, I mean, they want someone that is, extremely dedicated, extremely loyal, very well put together, well spoken, that has, accelerated learning capabilities, all the intangible characteristics that our veterans bring to the table, right?
Right.
They have that, definitely from an interactive and a one-on-one perspective, and leading the charge. but where we kind of lack is we lack in the whole putting our plan together and mapping out exactly what it's going to take. And I think sometimes because we don't understand how hard the transition is, that's where a lot of us, it takes us a lot longer to get it right. And earlier I had mentioned the 10X Rule by Grant Cardone. And another great book to read is Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink and Leif Babin, right? And when you couple 10X, taking massive action, along with extreme ownership, you can't go wrong, right? So when you're coming back to building your brand, right, building your network, and then you're communicating to your network at that time, because it's like, hey, I put my suit on, I'm ready to rock and roll, I look amazing, I've now associated myself with people that Justin is trying to network with, that are going to make a difference. They're going to open a door. So what I mean by that is being ultra focused, getting all your rounds on the target instead of spraying the whole range. That comes back to, I need to, if I want to be in marketing, that means I probably need to be networking with marketing individuals, everyone from the lowest level all the way to the top. Because at this point in time, a chief marketing officer talks at such a different level within marketing than a digital marketing coordinator. And guess what? Most people that are just getting out of the service, they don't understand that lingo. So start at the bottom, work yourself up, take religious notes. So then you can have those conversations and you can network with the right people. Then once you understand that, then you go about
Uh-oh. I might have lost you for a second, boss. I don't know. Well, I'm going to put it right here for now, because I think I lost JC for a second, but
I think I may have actually lost him, for Christ's sakes.
Oh, I think we're back.
Oh, we are back. That's right. Awesome.
It's good. I don't know what happened.
So basically, I just wrapped it up. It really comes down to those three things. Are we good? We good now?
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah, it just comes down. It comes back to branding yourself, networking, and.
Oh, maybe not. Maybe we're not good. I'm not certain what's going on here. We just gotta keep coming in and out. I don't know why. But you're there still, so that's good.
Yeah, I'm here.
Jeez. I'm not certain, but I apologize.
Hey, no problem. No problem at all. So what else?
Let's try one more time.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. You said you were wrapping it up, and I apologize. I keep cutting out, but we should be good now.
Awesome. No, I was just wrapping it up with, it just comes back to being able to brand yourself properly, to understand, how to really present the best looking you that knows and understands what he or she wants, right? And then you try to talk to those specific people that are in that specific niche to help you, get those doors open. If I was going to give another key advice, don't brand yourself. Don't build your profile based on, what I completed in the military, or don't build your presence as what I completed in the military. Build your presence based on your previous experience for your future position.
There you go.
Right? I mean,
I like that. That's great. That's great.
You really have to do that.
That's awesome. That right there, that's powerful. I mean, I'll tell you, just to be honest with you, it makes a whole bunch of sense. That's the first time I've heard it. Just so you're tracking. I mean, when I maybe I've heard things alluded to in that manner, but truly they're talking about what I did and this is what I did. But this is the value I'm going to provide to the company in which I'm coming. This is what I'm going to give to you, not what I've done in the past, but what I'm going to do. No, it's great piece of advice there. Now, what do you think as you were a recruiter, which obviously I think in my mind anyway, kind of gives you some marketing expertise. It actually, it's what you were doing. You were marketing and branding the military, right? What do you think one of your greatest, or what leadership characteristics did you possess that made you a fit for what you do now? What does that look like?
Wow. Yeah. I think in any role, it really comes down to the grit of the individual. I mean, skill sets aside, I mean, I didn't have any marketing certifications or anything like that. I mean, I posted on LinkedIn to everyone in my network and, interacted with them, just like we do. I mean, at that point in time when I was getting out, my marketing experience, other than like some very high level bachelor stuff, which, didn't teach me a whole lot. It really didn't, put me into the position that I am in now. What did is when I decided to transition out, I had said, what do I have to learn?
Okay.
Right? Where do I have to really get focused? And a lot of that, and when we think about the leadership aspect of, if I was going to say, from a leadership aspect, what would be one word? And I always go back to, man, grit, because in the transition, and because you're going to continue to transition, even once you've started, there's so many different traits and competencies that you're going to have. You're going to have courage. You're going to have determination, toughness, spirit. You're going to have innovation or creativity. You're going to have drive and focus to be able to accomplish a task. At the same time, you have to be aware. You have to utilize emotional intelligence when you're communicating with recruiters, with leaders within a company, with the actual staff that you would then be working with.
Yep.
Because, in the military is different. You don't have command and control anymore.
Yeah.
And you can say, oh, no, you're going to do it this way. It doesn't work like that,
right.
In life in corporate America.
Yeah.
You can't get away with that, because if you upset someone, they're going to leave. And guess what? That someone does a specific role. And because there's such a high amount of, tasks and missions throughout the day, you can't lose that person. If you do lose that person, there's going to be some explaining to do. So. Hopefully grit, we can cover down with grit. So.
No, it's good. But every single one of those adjectives, they're great words. I think grit that makes a lot of sense, and everything else you said is spot on. There's just a lot of things. I would have said perseverance in there. With all the things that you're talking about, I think transition is a ongoing situation. I think even years after, it's really interesting because you can always relate back to what you were doing, then see where you're at now and say, okay, do I see myself in this position forever? And if not, I'm going to transition some more. I'm going to continue to grow. I'm going to continue to develop. So it's a continuous transition, but being aware of it is huge. So that's great. So that's awesome, man. So I want to ask you, there's always a funny story. I always put it out there to people. I say, I want to hear one of those, you can't make this up stories, because in the Army, we always have, and in the military in general, we have stories in which, if you told your cousin who never served, or you told a friend that never served, or they wouldn't believe it. They only seen it on maybe like, I don't know, Rescue Me or some random show that talks about a firehouse, but there's stuff that we do that people just can't imagine happening. So I kind of want to hear one of those stories. I ask everybody. So I want to hear one of your, you can't make this up stories.
Oh man, you're putting me on the spot. I don't know if I got to keep it PG-13.
I don't care. I don't want to indict yourself. So whatever keeps you from
No, I'll tell you, this is a crazy story. I look back when I had first joined, and I thought I knew it all. I was lean, mean, green. And, I had went through my basic training. I had went through airborne school, and I had just graduated from RIP, the Ranger Introduction Program. And I remember, I had just got done at the battalion there. in process and went to my first organization, I think it was like Charlie Company. This was like way back in 97. And, lo and behold, guess what? There was like 12 specialists getting ready to greet them Spec 4 Mafia, right? They were getting ready to greet me and 3 others. And it was literally like a 2-week smoke fest. And throughout that like smoke fest, I mean, we're talking like we were up 22 hours a day. And I mean, you got no sleep. You're constantly doing push-ups in the gravel. Your hands are bleeding, et cetera, et cetera. And, eventually it came up to a 4-day weekend, right? And at that 4-day weekend, I'm thinking, oh yeah, I can't wait to get out of this place. And lo and behold, they said, no, you're gonna stay here and you're gonna freaking hand wax the floor, right? And I was like, I'm not no hand waxing the floor. You're crazy. And these jokers got up in my face, and one of them like pushed me and tried to put me in a headlock. And next thing you know, we're rolling around, right? And I think I end up. I mean, we didn't like throw punches, but I like choked him out. And everyone was messing with him, and lo and behold, that was like later at night. They finally went to bed, and that morning I was like, I'm leaving. I'm going to enjoy the rest of my 3-day weekend. And when I had gotten back, I remember there was a sergeant there, and he said I didn't pass the test, right? And I didn't realize that it was all a test, man. And that test was like evaluating who I am. So if I was going to give any like great advice, is you're going to get tested no matter where you're at in life. Yeah. And some people plan tests. It's not just like, hey, they're messing with me. No, they're doing something to see how you react, to be able to determine, are you worthy? And at that point in time, I wasn't worthy. And still to this day, we have leaders that do a great job at testing you to determine, are you ready to be at the next level? And that is just a continuous process, and that happens in life after the military service. So that would be my PG-13 story. I mean, we can talk about a story in Afghanistan where I'd walked around a corner and there was a joker on like this hay bale mounting a cow, but I don't think you want to go into that.
Hey, I don't mind. Hey, listen, I like stories, man, and it probably wouldn't surprise me none, because I've seen some crazy stuff. But hey, I gotta tell you, I'm just gonna kind of share a story with you as far as the testing goes. And this is me. I thought it was a real arrogant thing to do, but it was actually really a wise thing. I had this mass sergeant when I was a sergeant E5, and he was telling me about how do you know when you're a leader in the Army. And I was like, look, I don't know, when people do stuff. He walked into our bay, he and I walked in together, and there was about 6 E5s, no E6, but 6 E5s, about 5 or 6 E4s, and a whole bunch of E3 and below, or E3 and E2. And he picked up a broom and he started sweeping. And I think he was sweeping for about, maybe 5 seconds before one of the PFCs ran up, or one of the sergeants said, hey, grab the, and so Matt Sergeant gave the broom, and he said, come on. And he said, the longer you hold the broom, the less respect you have from your people. And he said, I can sweep. I know I can sweep. And that's what he would tell him when he would come in. I'll sweep myself, and he'd sweep. But he goes, but it's a test for you to see if your people really care about you. Because if they care about you, they're never going to let you touch the floor. And I always thought that was an interesting thing. I never tried it because I was always afraid that I was going to be sweeping like the whole bay by myself. No, I'm kidding. But anyhow, it was just an interesting thing, the tests that actually happen and people do. And I'm not certain that really works or not, but it was really interesting. Anyhow, hey, so what I want to do is, I know that when we broke off, there was some people on and they fell off because of the disconnection. I'm not sure what happened, but what I want to do is make sure that where can people reach you? And I'm going to put it back up when I'm going to share this video out, and I'm going to put that information out. But where can people reach if they want to connect with you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm on just about every social media platform. But, I would say, go on LinkedIn. If you just search JustinC Pearson, or linkedin.com/n/Pearson Justin C. I'm on LinkedIn, or, on my Facebook page, JustinC Pearson. And you got my personal Facebook, which is JC Pearson. I mean, I'm a hop, skip, and a jump away. I'm a message away, and I appreciate that. So if anyone has any questions, they need any assistance, let me know. Or if you're just looking for resources, jump over to gijobs.com. Check out that platform. There's a lot of great resources there. If you're looking for those direct opportunities emailed to you, right? You can just go to the gijobs.com/join-the-ranks. You could sign up for emails. Those emails are coming from our team of veterans that work where I work. Shout out to Daryl Williams, who was a first sergeant in recruiting with me. Before we transitioned out, we were in the same battalion, and now we work together. So.
Man, that's awesome to see too. And I like seeing his post too. I like the fact that you guys are. I find that to be pretty cool. I mean, that you guys were down there and now you're up there together in the wonderful Pittsburgh area. But no, it's good stuff, man. It's great, and I do see what he puts out there, and I follow him as well because you guys have a lot of great information. What I will do in the future, and I'd love to bring you back on, and at that time, I'd like to actually focus it a little bit more. Not to say we weren't focused. This is exactly the structure, but I'd really like to get your LinkedIn information. I mean, I'd like to have you talk about your actual networking skills. There's a lot of folks that I wholeheartedly know need some help in that realm because obviously when we network, we do network in the military, we do, but people look at social media in such an abstract way, and I don't get it. But just like you had said, I can send you a message and say, hey, Justin, my name is Jeff. I'd like to provide value this way, but this is what I'm looking to. Something, because at the end of the day, if I walk up to you at a bar and I said, hey, can you be my friend? I mean, there's a conversation that starts. There's something that's there. Yes, probably do have something I want, even the first time I meet you. However, it has to start with a hello. It has to start with something other than give me. And I think that's something that people need to learn, from a social media perspective.
Yeah.
So I'd love to have you back on.
It can't be the emoji, thumbs up, I mean, you got to take time and really lay out good communications to an individual. You can't, automatically jump in and start asking for things. It's really about, how can you interact in a way to be able to show them that, hey, you mean something to me, and I want to be able to invest into, discovery and learning more and getting mentorship and having, those type of discussions so I can learn.
Yeah.
I mean, I think about almost like dating. I mean, you got to date before you get married, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
no doubt.
Part of the dating process is, whining and dining them and showing them how smart you are and witty you are. So it's all kind of like, in the same wheelhouse.
It is. And I wholeheartedly agree. I think it's really interesting. I think that most people understand that when you connect with them, you want something. I think that's it's a given. I know when someone reaches out to me, no matter what they are, whether they're a marketing specialist or they want to enhance my job or they want to help my networking group or whatever it is, they all send me something.
Yeah.
They want something from me. The ones that I like are not the ones that don't instantly do a sales pitch to me. They try to establish a relationship. I know what they want. I know they want something, but I want to find out through time because I want to know what I can get from them as well. It should be a reciprocating type thing. There should be some reciprocation, right? But it's a matter of let's go through the dance. Let's do the dance first. Then we'll figure out what the other one needs. But that's awesome, man. So hopefully here in the future we'll get you back on to give us some really good information because I know you have it. I'm going to continue to share your stuff. I'll actually pull some of your stuff onto the Facebook page. So obviously we've had some conversations. Great information from Justin's helped me out a little bit because I'm not an expert at any of this stuff. I kind of just go and do what I do as I see fit. But I'm going to start broadcasting from my page a little bit more than my personal page. So I'll share some more information on the other side page so I can get some more people with the GI Jobs connection and all that good stuff because, well, that's what I'm here for is to help facilitate some resources, right? To help you give some contacts out there and, hopefully find what you're looking for. But anyhow, hey, Justin, before we go, I want to give you the floor to say anything you'd like to say. I just want to tell you, I truly appreciate you coming on.
Hey, no, wonderful. I appreciate that. No, if anyone has anything, they need any help, I'm always here, so I kind of live in the shadows every now and then, I don't try to spotlight too much. So if you need something, reach out. I'm here to help.
And he will get back with you. That's a given. I mean, I'm proof of it. So again, it's been a long time since I've wanted him to come on, and I just know that he's been doing stuff. And I tell you, it's not just stuff. I mean, the New York Stock Exchange. I mean, he's been everywhere. I mean, look, he's got Jeeps and stuff. I mean, he's just doing things great, man. I've got his wife, and they're just doing great things. No, it's awesome to see him. Awesome to see you here, Justin. Awesome to see what you're doing on the LinkedIn side, on the Facebook side, just seeing everything up there. GI Job's doing great. Love it. I'm thankful for you to be here. And I'll make sure that if anybody reaches out to me for your contact, I'll make sure they get in touch because, well, they will do that. I guarantee it. So
awesome.
Anyway, until the next time I'm here.
Thank you, buddy.
Oh, no. Thank you. All right, brother. We'll see you next time here on the other side.